There's a fine line in personal branding between being vulnerable and oversharing. Cross it and you lose authority. But if you stay too safe, you become invisible instead of magnetic. So where is the fine line? In this video, I will show you the exact filter framework to practice authentic storytelling that builds trust without looking unprofessional. Most people think that vulnerability means sharing all your deepest secrets online. That's a myth. That's not vulnerability, it's being an amateur marketer. To build authority, I like using the scar versus the wound rule. A wound is an emotional struggle that you're still going through, you still haven't processed it, and it's still bleeding. And if you share it, you are not leading your audience anywhere, and most likely you yourself don't feel comfortable and ready to post this. A scar, though, is a battle that you've already won. You've already processed it, and you're ready to share the wisdom, the lessons extracted from this experience. Now you're sharing that wisdom to tell them, you're not alone. I have been in the darkness, and trust me, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I've seen it, and soon you will see it too. The best way to recognize the difference is to think to yourself, do I want my audience to feel pity for me, or do I want them to feel empowered? Your goal as a leader is to show that you are a human who struggled before, but now you exude that strength to empower others. But just because a story is empowering, it doesn't necessarily mean that it belongs to your business content. You need one more filter. Most of us don't build personal brands by accident. We do it because we're really obsessed about our craft, about our expertise, and about the work that we do. So when you share a story, it shouldn't be just true, it should also be relevant to the business that you're now offering. For example, I have this client who has a lead generation agency, and when I worked with him, he shared his origin story about how he started his lead generation agency, and he told me that he pretty much used to be a very bad salesman. Back then, the tactic that most of the companies used to do is just the cold calling, and that's how they would basically find leads and find customers for their businesses. When those leads from the cold calls would come to him, he wouldn't be able to close them, though he was really good at finding those leads, at nurturing those leads, at making sure that he's creating some email marketing campaigns, some content, so that they are transforming from the cold leads to the warm leads. And he said, I was really good at finding the emails that are relevant to the business. I was really good at nurturing them and making them warm and basically handing them on a silver platter for the salespeople to close them. So when he finally quit his job, he decided, you know what, let me actually create a lead generation agency for the industry that I'm working with. And he started offering these services. And again, back then, nobody really believed in this idea, but then he pitched it to all of his clients. And right now, after 15 years, he is running a successful lead generation agency. So you see the difference? This is the story that is relevant to his business model, that is relevant to what he is doing now. He isn't just sharing some random story about, I don't know, a divorce with his partner or some problems that he's having in his household with his children, because these type of stories, they're not relevant unless, of course, you are, I don't know, a relationship coach, a divorce lawyer, or something like that, where this kind of stories would be relevant in that industry. He is more in a lead generation industry, so meaning that the stories that he's sharing should really tie to what he's offering right now. So in his case, sharing how back 15 years ago, lead generation wasn't a concept and how he was really pushing back with the management to explain them, you cannot just close cold people because they're not really nurtured. So this is the type of the stories as an entrepreneur you should share, making sure that those stories are relevant to the transformation that you're now offering for your clients. Now, if you follow these two rules, the scar versus the wound rule, the relevance rule, you will build a very successful, professional, and safe personal brand. However, I am not here to teach you to build a safe personal brand. I am here to teach you to become magnetic. And sometimes when you want to be magnetic, it means you have to do something that is really scary, but at the same time, you're breaking the norms. To do that, you need to apply my signature method, which is called WTHC. Who the hell cares? But I have to warn you, it might sound contradictory to my scar versus the wound rule, so do not implement it unless you're a pro. Apply it only if you're brave just like me. Back in 2023, when I just started my personal brand on LinkedIn, I overshared. My life was a mess. I had a huge identity crisis. I had just quit my job and my e-commerce business unfortunately failed. By my own definition, this was still a wound. I was still hurting and I didn't have a successful story to wrap it up with, but I posted it anyways. Here's what I wrote. My e-commerce business failed. It's hard to share about failure, especially in a public place like LinkedIn, where everyone shares their success stories. It's even harder to talk about it when you haven't succeeded in something else. So you can't say, I failed in X, but then succeeded in Y. If I could do it, you can do it too. In 2021, I excitedly started my e-commerce brand. I had zero knowledge of how to run a business and how to build a brand, yet I wanted to have something on my own. I spent a lot of money on fancy photo shoot, running targeted ads, and I was very reluctant to post content and grow the organic visibility of my brand. I thought it wouldn't make an impact. I also wanted shortcut. I wanted fast sales. I thought paid ads would guarantee me long-term customers and crazy sales. By the time I blew up my advertising budget, I realized that I had made the biggest mistake. I didn't create a story around my brand. I didn't communicate what I do, how I do it, and why I do it, and most importantly, what value my product provides and how it changes people's lives. And all of this is paradoxical considering the fact that I am a content marketer and I should have known better. Yet, I fell into the trap of wanting fast results. That's why I always tell my clients to focus on growing organic visibility, because this is what guarantees long-term success. There might be thousands of businesses just like you offering products and services, and only your branding will be the reason why they buy from you. Your branding is like a unique personality that sets your product apart. It's similar to meeting someone with an interesting story that you can't help but like. Remember, nobody buys sneakers. They buy the spirit of sports and Nike's just do it attitude. I don't have a successful business to share about yet, but I have a great failure experience that will help me prevent my clients from making the same mistake. I was definitely still in my wound, but something about sharing this felt really freeing. And now that I'm looking back at this post, I realized that 3 things had happened. First, sharing who the hell cares post might have revealed my wound, but at the same time, it showed me as a person who can take an accountability, who can fail in public, and can sit down with that uncomfortable feeling of failure. And it also shows me as a person who is not here to share fake and flashy success stories just to protect my fragile ego. I can publicly admit that I have failed and I can sit down with this uncomfortable feeling. Second, I wasn't actually realizing it back then, but it was actually very strategic. I tied my failure back to my expertise in branding, trying to send a message to everyone who is just chasing fast results, fast growth, and the shortcut is running the paid ads and just cashing in. I tried to show them from my own failure why it is important to build a brand, why is it important to build a community who are very much invested emotionally in your journey. So all of this ties pretty much to the relevance filter that we were talking about in the previous point. And third, that's what modern marketers will call the concept of building in public. It's the concept of sharing your raw and unfiltered journey while you're building your business. But most importantly, I actually got a lot of support, and there was this one woman from the US that messaged me and said that my story was really empowering, and she actually knows so many startup founders in the US area that are also looking for marketing consultants, and she would really love to connect me with them. I also shared another wound type of a post, and it was on my 28th birthday. This August, I turned 28, and here's what I achieved for my age. A successful 4-digit business, launched my jewelry brand, failed it. My company sponsoring my trips, me. Scaled my operations, ergonomic chair. Grew my team by 100%, worked overtime. Received an employee of the month from myself. These achievements might seem small, yet they represent growth, real hustle, and the progress. It's not always about flashy success stories. It's about showing up, putting in the work, and believing in the process. From this year onward, I'm celebrating every little milestone, big or small, with the confidence that even greater things are on the horizon. Again, most people wouldn't really feel comfortable about sharing this post, but to me it felt so authentic. Because again, I am taking an accountability and I'm saying the things the way they are. Yes, I am at this stage of my business is really small, and let's be real about it. I'm wrapping it up with my wisdom and showing my values and sending a message that you should still celebrate such small wins because they're the ones that are forming your journey. And yes, I am not a 6-figure entrepreneur, which is usually a more attractive headline, but I am what I am, and with the baby steps, I will get there someday, only if I learn to embrace what I have now. So here's how to shape your authentic storytelling strategy. Use the scar versus the wound rule to identify what are the things that you're comfortable sharing about. Audit your story relevance to make sure that your stories tie back to the transformations that you are now offering to your clients. And if you're bold enough, apply my WTHC, who the hell cares method to own your truth.
I'll make everybody witches and bats and vampires.
I say it all the time and I'll say it again, it's not about being perceived as a cringe that you should really worry about. It is refusing to take accountability for your own journey and owning up to your mistakes are the things that should hunt you down. Taking ownership is how you build a magnetic personal brand and demonstrate yourself as a leader who is in the making. Gotcha. That is how a true leader in the making shows up. And if you still feel stuck writing powerful, story-backed posts, I have created a free storytelling worksheet. It will help you to sharpen your personal stories so that you're professional, leader-like, and most importantly, authentic. You can access the worksheet right now through the link in the description below. Go own your story, and I'll see you in the next one.